Welcome to the new lecture. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the participation constraints. Right. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about mapping cardinalities, one to one, one to many, main to one, and main to many. So please look over those lectures because those are most important for solving ER diagrams and converting them to the relations. Right. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the participation constraints. Participation constraint defines the least number of relationship instances in which an entity must compulsory participate. So these are participation constraint defines the least number of relationship instances in which an entity must compulsory participate, and it is of two types: total participation and partial participation. Let us take an example, and by the example we are going to get a very clear idea about total and partial participation. So let us look at an example. This is a binary relationship. Yes, we have studied about it, and also it is many to many, right? Many to many cardinality, mapping cardinality, right? So here we have two entities. One name is the customer, other name is the loan. So customer borrows loan. So a customer is going to be identified by the customer number and customer name, and is going to borrow loan which have a loan number and loan amount, right? So for this entity set, let us take the possible entities. Suppose C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, right? And suppose there are four loans for a particular bank: L1, L2, L3, and L4, right? Now see, in this case, many to many relationship, a customer can take multiple loans from a bank, right? So a customer can take multiple loans from a bank because it is relationship is many to many. And in the same way, a loan can be taken by multiple customers, that is there can be joint loans, right? So this is in this business case, by this ER diagram, these things we have understood, right? So let us take the relationships here. So C1, so let us name this relationship as the R1, borrows relationship. C1 takes the loan L1, right? C2 relationship R2, I will call it, takes the loan L2, which is a joint loan. L2 is a joint loan. So L2 joint loan is taken by C2 and C3, right? And also C3 is going to take another loan L3. So this is our business case. See here, a person can take many to many, can take multiple loan. So you have taken one joint loan and also you have taken one individual loan. Likewise, a loan can have multiple customers. So loan L2 have customer C2 and also it have the customer C3, right? I think you have understood the relationship in a very clear manner, right? Now I will ask you a question. So my question is, for a bank, will there be customers without taking loan, right? So please listen the question once again. So for a bank, is there any possibility of a customer not to take a loan? Yes, so bank have customers who are not interested to take the loan. Yes, it's a practical scenario, it is possible. There can be customers without taking loan in a bank, right? From a bank, right? So there is no rule that every customer should take a loan, right? It is their choice. They can take a loan or they can't. That it is going to depend on their interest, right? So in this case, okay, now let us see this case. So when you request a loan, then only a loan is going to be generated. Yes, right. Now can there be a loan without a customer? No, it's not possible. But see here, we have a loan L4 without relating to any customer. So how it's going to be generated? A loan is going to be generated only when a customer requests for it. So a loan is going to be generated when there is a relationship with the customer. But here it is many to many relationship. So we doesn't have any constant conditions here. So this particular situation have been generated. So what we want that a business principle here. What is our business principle? That a loan should be generated only when the customer requests for it. So there should not be a loan number without a customer request. So if we want to keep such business condition here, then there is a need of keeping a total participation here. A total participation. It is represented by double line. If we represent total participation here, then compulsory there will come a condition here. One condition will reflect here. What is that condition? That is, there should not be any entity in this particular entity set without participating in a relationship, right? So if it have participated in a relationship, then it will have an associated customer, right? So our problem is solved. That is, we can easily keep a business principle here. That is, every loan have a customer, right? Every loan is going to be generated only when the customer is request for it. So this principle we can easily represent, we easily keep by keeping what here? Total participation. So if we indicated the total participation, the double line, then L4, this L4 is, that is, will not be generated. It will be generated only when any customer requests for it. If a customer requests for it, then only this particular loan is going to be generated. So we can easily keep such conditions on the entity set. So when in an entity set, if every entity participate in a relationship, that is, there should not be idle entities here, right? So here in this case we have seen here C1, C2, C3, C4 have participated, but C5 is idle. It have not participated in any relationship. So it is possible here, because what type of relationship between the customer and the borrowers? It is partial. That is, there is no total, right? Whereas between the borrowers and the loan, what is it? Total. Means it compulsory every entity should participate in the relationship. So if it is partial, it can participate or it cannot also participate. That is, they can exchange customer without taking loan or by taking loan. But if it is total, if it is a loan, it should be taken by the customer. So such conditions, such constraints we can easily keep by this participation constraints. So they are most important in our ER diagrams. So participation constraint define the least number of relationship instances in which an entity must compulsory participate. So here what it gives, participation constraint gives least number of relationship instance. Say I have said it should participate compulsory in one relationship. It is the least number. So I have said it is total participation, means compulsory every entity should participate. It is the least number. So such participation constraint gives this least number of relationship instances. This an instance, everything is an instance. So it should participate in every relationship. If there is an entity, it should participate. Whereas the partial, it may or may not. That is, there are two types, total and partial. If it is total, it specifies that each entity in the entity set must compulsory participate in at least one relationship instance. So that's what we have studied. It should participate compulsory in at least one instance, right? And it is represented by double line. And whereas the partial participation, it specifies that each entity in the entity set may or may not participate in the relationship instance. So partial means there can be entities without participating in the relationship. So for an entity set, there can be some entities without participating in the relationship. So here we have said here, that is, in this particular entity set, C5 had not participated in the relationship instance. So it is partial. It is partial, right? So it partially represented by a single line, whereas the total is represented by the double line. And this is about the participation constraints, total and partial participation. Hope you have understood. Thank you.